Only but not Step Unfortunate here. Welcome back to Step on TV1. Indie animation really have been popping off lately. And when things get popular, there's going to be some opinions. Some good and some questionable. And believe me, I have my own set of hot takes about indie animation and the community. It's not even funny. And as a fellow indie animation creator, I decided to read a few hot takes about indie animation and try to give my own opinion on them, give my own little 2 cents. Alright, no more stalling. Let's get into this. First one. People should focus on the community instead of entirely on success. 50-50. While I do agree you should focus on the community and, support other creators, you also want to focus on your project too and how far you'd be able to take it. Like, I've seen some indie projects big up other projects, we're gonna do live streams with this set of people who made this, or we're going to maybe promote them on a different social media. But they're still focusing on their project too and trying to build crowdfundings and promote themselves to really make themselves, bigger in the process as well. You're supporting your fellow community members, but you're also focusing on yourself and your work because you both want all of it to succeed. And focusing entirely on success isn't necessarily too bad, but you have to be humane as well, have a bit of a balance. Support your others while also focusing on yourself because you want your thing to do well too. Next one is, you're allowed to call a pilot/indie show bad and doesn't mean you don't support indie animation. However, you need to take into account that the curve for quality is way different for indie projects. This is very true. Just because you personally don't like a specific pilot or show doesn't mean you're not supportive of the whole indie thing, you know what I mean? And it's very true, you can have your opinion of, this specific thing isn't for me. But that doesn't mean I don't support other creators who make something maybe similar or just creating in general. And this part is also very true that the quality for indie projects are very, very different. Indie projects being posted on YouTube or Newgrounds is different from a TV network. There is no schedule. So usually on a TV studio, they'll make maybe a season during a summer or a year. So every week or every other week on a specific channel or network, they'll able to show a new episode.
What most people don't realize is that animation, one episode, can take up to 9 months to be done. And so that's why you kind of have multiple crews working on different episodes at a time, so that when you release the series, you have all the series being delivered, all the episodes being delivered, one right after the other.
Compared to indie animation where they focus more on one episode at a time. All the scripts could be done, all the voice acting could be done for that as well, but they try to focus on the animation one at a time because they want more quality than quantity. And you're able to get both from a studio as well as an online indie thing, quality, but one has to be done at a much quicker pace, whereas online you're able to take as much more time as you want. So yeah, you can't really compare the two. They're very different. They have similar things going on, but things like timing and scheduling and your pace on how you do it is way different. Next one reads, don't just jump into making a series. It's fine to just make shorts. In fact, you should start with shorts first. I've seen people jump into making a series with no plan or idea of the overwhelming task to making a series, including myself. However, if you're at least aware of how difficult it is and believe you want to make that series, then go for it. This is very, very true. I agree with this a lot. Most creators I see online want to jump into a full series and they want to have a lot of lore, a lot of backstory, a lot of character bios and stuff. And all that is great, but that takes time to really fix and work together. Compared to something like a short, which you could use audios you find online, from TikToks to funny memes to having your actual actors or voice actors or yourself maybe doing some silly skits or even a little drama skit to just get people's attention. Let people know about your characters, maybe get them hooked on it a little bit. Certain projects do this very well, like Chicken Nugget. Chicken Nugget is a really great indie series, and it just started off as a bunch of shorts about some cute little funny animals. And as the series went on, it went from being silly random shorts to having a bit of storylines going through, while still scattering in some episodic wacky shorts. Because the shorts hook the audience. Compared to a pilot, where if no one really cares about your pilot, then your show's not going to continue, because no one cares. It's better to start small than to just go in big and not know how to manage it properly. Next one reads, here's one. Not every first episode of a new series needs to be called a pilot. Like traditionally made cartoons have pilots produced before the first episode. More like a proof of concept, I guess. Thank you! Thank you! You don't understand how much this annoys me, so I'm glad this person called it out. The idea of pilots have gotten so janked up because of the internet. It's so crazy. Pilots are not really first episodes. They're kind of just concept ideas, hooks. Because the point of a pilot is to hook you. See if you want to watch more of this. See if you really want this sort of stuff to continue as a full-fledged series. And sometimes pilots can become a first episode if they feel like that is good enough to be the first episode. Most of the time, they're not a first episode. Sometimes people use pilots as maybe a flashback. For example, Chalk Zone. Some of the first earliest shorts of Chalk Zone on Nickelodeon were shorts from the random cartoons What a Cartoon Show. And when it actually got picked up as a full series with a different art style and stuff, they used some of those old shorts as flashbacks. But I agree, pilots aren't first episodes. First episodes are very different from pilots because a pilot switches so much from an actual series. Actors could be changed, stories and ideas could be changed, locations could be changed, names could be changed, designs. So much could change from a pilot to a first episode that it makes sense that most pilots kind of just stay as proof of concepts and hooks before the actual series, because certain changes will need to be made. And it would look weird if there's no continuity in terms of look, sounds, and stuff. You know what I mean? Next one reads, demons are overused and overrated in indie animation, like 20 shows which have demons in them. I mean, true. But people like what they like. I mean, are we really gonna sit here and complain when there's so many things like anime, movies, comic books that all have demons? And guess what? People still eat that stuff up because we like it. So while yes, there is a lot of demons in indie animation and it is a bit overused, it's not a bad thing. If it's just not for you, it's not for you. You don't have to watch all of these demon stuff. That's all I can say on that. Next one reads, I think it's best to have filler episodes in most indies as to not always have serious moments. I like this take. Shows throughout the years, whether indie or network TV shows, always had different styles of writing. Some are episodic and always had like a bunch of random things happen each episode, while some are story-driven and they focus on the main story. But there is a good balance for certain shows where they kind of have a bit of both. It has episodic episodes, but there's still an overarching storyline. But those episodic episodes kind of space it out so there's a bit of breathing. Because realistically, nothing serious just happens every single day of your life. So same thing with a character. Nothing serious has to happen every single day of the character's life. You can space it out and give them moments when they're just maybe being goofy or just maybe having a more chill day. A good example is Steven Universe. there was an overarching storyline, but we still saw a regular day in the life of Steven or any other character, and it was just sort of more chill and fun and less serious in tone. And in terms of indie animation, I think Digital Circus is a really good example. Most of the show has an overarching storyline, but they kind of spread out the storyline and give you fun moments between that. So it's not just we're focusing on the main concept of they can't leave and they want to leave. No, they're giving you the characters actually participating in adventures, as well as some serious moments to remind you, hey, this is the main storyline going on. But we also have this going on for maybe next episode to give you a sense of, oh yeah, they're in the game, let them do something in the game. This is just a day in their life sort of stuff. You know what I mean? So I agree. It's not a bad thing to have filler episodes in your series. If anything, it does help. But that also depends on your series. Some people don't want the goofy, silly moments. They don't like those episodes that doesn't really connect to the main story, while others do. It really depends on you and what you think works best for your series and the tone of it. Next one reads, studios take spotlight from real indie creators who are small teams of friends, solo creators, or just small artists who aren't studios with funding. I don't know how to feel about this one. Studios aren't taking the spotlight from indie creators. As a matter of fact, there's been multiple indie studios started by a small group of friends or a solo person. Is it a bad thing if they get spotlight and they're supposed to be a small group of friends or an indie solo creator and they decide to make a studio? No, they're not taking the spotlight from anybody. They're just making what they make. Studios are just making what they make. So studios like Spindle Horse, Glitch, they're not hurting anyone. They're not taking the spotlight from anybody. They're just making things. And they're not stopping other people from making things. I mean, their shows are more popular. So obviously they're gonna get the more spotlight, but that's not really in their control. They're just making shows. They're promoting their shows. They're, advertising their shows and trying to make more money to make more of their shows. Like a majority of every other indie creator out there. They're not doing anything different that anyone else is doing. They're just doing the same thing, but their shows are already more popular. So studios aren't taking the spotlight. They're just doing their own thing, while smaller creators, from a small group of friends to solo creators, are just trying their best to do their own thing. And keep in mind, these same small group of friends or solo creators also really try to make their own studios. There's been a few indie series coming out where a behind the scenes look is this small group of friends are trying to open their own studio, so we need your support.
This is a sponsored video because I've got to save up money for my studio.
And we're starting an animation studio in our basement.
And our profits will go towards hiring additional staff to produce our comedy horror pilot, Mandelbrot Hall.
And we're announcing
our new animation studio. We are Wing Thing Studios.
It's very common. Studios aren't a bad thing. Also, the funding part is a bit questionable because indie studios, they're not on networks. They're not making money from, sponsorships and stuff like that, like McDonald's or anything. They are literally getting support from fans who want more of that show. So they're not really getting big funding. They're just getting crowd support, And if it's a lot of fans, then yes, it's big funding. But compared to say a sponsorship with a big name brand or a weekly show on a network, it's not as much. But then again, results vary all the time. There are people who make shows that are sometimes even more expensive than what a network asks for. And, next one reads, If you're making a series, make a couple scripts and character designs. Don't go overboard and add everything into one. That, as well as making lore for your characters instead of actually working on an episode. I kind of get where this person's coming from. So many creators always try to add a lot into their characters, their stories and stuff, but they never tend to focus on the actual episode that they're making. They always talk about the lore and the world building and the history of what blah blah blah, but they never focus on the episode, what the characters' dynamics are, the dialogue. I knew people who would think of a million bits and pieces of lore for their characters in a series that they were creating, but there has not been one finished script. And when they did finish the script, it was all over the place because they were too busy focusing on the world building and lore and all that stuff than the actual characters and their dynamics and their dialogue. This is also something that I notice a lot with creators too. They tend to do things out of order. They always decide to work on things at weird spots in the process. Sometimes they're trying to cast for voice actors and animators before they actually have a concept or story down. I've seen people wanting to have season 2s and 3s of their shows and they barely wrote their entire season 1. I've seen people try to do test animation on characters before they actually have finalized character designs. Calm down. Do things one at a time. Get your story right, get your characters, write your scripts, clean up your story and scripts, make everything work, then get your animators and all that stuff, get your cast, record, and do all that other stuff. Stop doing things out of order. Don't get your cast before you have a script ready. Don't get your animators before there's any character designs down. Please do things... do things at a slower pace. Please. It makes it easier on the process and everyone involved, trust me. And the last one reads, not everybody is up to make indie animation. It's so much work than doing it with a corporation, so it should start small and because it fulfills you, not because you want fame and money. This is true. However, I agree, because indie animation is a lot of work. It's not easy. And if you're doing it by yourself or with like a couple people helping you, it does take longer because a studio is able to have multiple people helping, multiple, employees to help with the animation. So you're not overwhelmed with doing everything yourself, or you have to get this shot done, and someone else is doing this shot. No, everyone is, at a more reasonable pace, depending on the working conditions. Every studio is different. Some are more strict, while others are a bit more lenient. Trust me. But doing it by yourself is way worse because you are in charge of everything.
Because of the heavy workload of maintaining a YouTube channel, it's very easy to overwork yourself and not have a healthy day-to-day work-life balance. I struggle with working too many hours to this day. But if you have a standard 9-to-5 job, you clock out at a certain hour and thereby have downtime in your day that you can dedicate to whatever you want. It creates a far healthier relationship with work, and I sometimes miss that.
And when you're done with it, it does give you a sense of satisfaction. It does fulfill you, like, I made this by myself or with a few friends. I did this. This feels good. It looks good. I agree with that because a lot of the time people just want to make things just to make things, and that's fine. As for the fame and money thing, I don't think people intentionally make these things with the intent of fame and money. But if a thing gets popular to a certain point, fame and money will come. And, maybe you might want to do more with it because you see it's profitable. And you want to do this more and, do more with those characters. Or you want to make indie your go-to. And, as you see, it helps, that people like it enough to want to support you to make more. Or if you get a bit popular, that people maybe make fan art for you of your characters, or they want to see you collaborate on other projects with your characters and stuff. I think that's cool. So I agree with everything here. As for the fame and money thing, it depends on the circumstances and the person and their project. Okay, I think we're done reading those takes now. So, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share. Tell me some of your own hot takes about indie animation and the community. And I'll see you guys next time. Adiosins!